Make sure you join in the conversation on social media using the hashtag Portraits for the Future. Hello and welcome to everyone, wherever you might be tuning in from, for tonight's event, Portraits for the Future, a celebration of James Barnor. Massive thanks to Ebo Taylor and his band for kicking things off. I'm Clara Antfo, and I'm so very much looking forward to sharing this programme with you that celebrates the incredible James Barnor. But first, I have the pleasure of welcoming the chairman of Serpentine, Michael Bloomberg.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this celebration of the groundbreaking photographer James Barnor. This event helps to launch a month-long tribute to the artist organized by the Serpentine and Circa. Works from throughout his career will be featured on the famous Piccadilly Lights screen in London. It's just one of the ways the Serpentine has been working to bring great art to the public despite the challenges of the pandemic. We're looking forward to opening again with an exhibition featuring some of the many pioneering artists the Serpentine has helped introduce to the UK, including James Barnor. If you're in the UK, I hope you'll visit and see the show when it's open. And until then, stay safe and all the best.
Thank you so much for that intro. And now a very special message from the incredible Naomi Campbell.
James, we are all here today to celebrate your remarkable career before your major exhibition opening at the Serpentine Galleries this year. What a journey this has been. What a journey you've had. I remember very well when I first met you in Ghana and having the pleasure to be sat next to you and watch you speak, and I've got tons of video of that with this halo of light around you. You are a true visionary, an artist, and your influence on the generations of artists can be felt throughout the world and back. And all these years and today, it grows even stronger. One of my favorite images of yours is Band of Women. It shows such unity and strength, which is so what we need right now. In a moment of thinking about the future and creativity in the community, I focus on also the picture of the two little babies that are kneeling down looking up at you. James, you have an amazing, incredible celebration for you tonight. So sit back, relax, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's in store, so you should be looking forward to be celebrated. Enjoy your celebration, sir. I am truly in awe, truly blessed to know you. Congratulations. Mwah.
That was amazing. Thank you, Naomi. Hello, I'm Bettina Korek, Chief Executive of the Serpentine. We feel it is urgent to present a major survey exhibition of James Barnor's photography because public knowledge of his work does not yet match the influence it has had upon generations of creators who followed in his footsteps. Portraits for the Future ignites a group dialogue with some of those very voices from around the world. From us here in London and with contributors internationally, we hope those who have been moved by James's work in the past and those who will delight in their discovery of it in the not too distant future will join us on multiple stops of this phenomenal journey. The arts have a unique ability to bring people together, bridge divides, and build empathy and understanding. We're grateful to have a dedicated community of supporters and many of you here tonight. Many thanks to the Pictet Group for their ongoing partnership and friendship. Their support is especially meaningful given the Pre-Pictet Photography Award, which communicates messages about sustainability to global audiences, a focus on general ecology, which of course we share at the Serpentine. For those of you who are not yet involved with the Serpentine, thank you for joining us. We reached millions of people virtually last year and are ambitious to reach even more. We want to do it with your help, and to that end, we've launched our first Kickstarter campaign. With your support, we'll be able to offer a program of activity, including public events at the gallery, online, and in our London communities, which celebrate Barnor's work through art, poetry, and music, alongside this major survey, which is free and open to all. Tonight, there will be a conversation between James Barnor, Tyler Mitchell, and Ulrich Obrist. Sir David Ajay will read from an essay that he wrote about James Barnor. Poetry will be read by Ni Aikwe Parks, and for the grand finale, live music with Ebo Taylor and the Salt Pond City Band. It is now my great pleasure to welcome Narmina Morandi, the incredible co-head of Serpentine's Cultural and Social Affairs Committee. Her enthusiastic and dedicated support has made both the exhibition and tonight's program possible. Thank you, Narmina.
Thank you so much, Bettina, for the kind introduction. And of course, thanks to all of you for joining us tonight for what is said to be an inspiring evening of art and culture. Through my involvement with Serpentine, I feel enormously fortunate to have encountered so many incredible artists, and I'm hugely honored to be here to celebrate the phenomenal James Barnor. His remarkable and varied 60-year career has brought together a lifetime of people, places, images, and strands of culture. And we hope that in some way this evening will reflect a similar spirit of connection and togetherness. In celebrating Barnor's work, we are also celebrating the imminent reopening of London and the chance for the Serpentine to finally open its doors, so this much anticipated exhibition can be viewed in its all physical glory. Alongside art, fashion has also occupied a large part of my life, and it is so wonderful to have the opportunity to discuss James's work with some of the most renowned pillars of the world of fashion, such as Naomi Campbell, Tyler Mitchell, and Edward Enninful. Today, more than ever before, we can see creativity more clearly as an energy that cannot be confined with borders of nations, industries, or rigid ideas. James Barnor has seemingly known this truth his entire life, and it is this truth that makes the Serpentine and this incredible artist so well suited for one another. So with this in mind, I wish you a lovely evening, and now please join me in welcoming the always so visionary Ulrich Obrist, Artistic Director of the Serpentine Galleries. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and many thanks to our host, Clara Amfo, to our chairman, Mike Bloomberg, to Naomi Campbell for welcoming us to tonight's program. Thank you also so much to Bettina and Narmina for your wonderful introductions to our audiences and the incredible artists who are joining us tonight. We are so grateful for your participation. This summer, the Serpentine will present a major survey of James Barnor's work. From the first photo James took in 1947, his career spans 6 decades, 2 continents, and numerous photographic genres with studio portraiture, photojournalism, editorial commissions, and also wider social commentary. Tonight, Portraits for the Future brings together artists, musicians, poets, and cultural leaders to offer insights and reflections on Barnor's work for audiences around the world. Amazing photographers will share with us instructions and tips for creating portraits, sharing personal thoughts on Barnor's enduring influence and how his vision might guide us into the future. The future is invented with fragments from the past. We have amazing contributions from Liz Johnson-Arthur, from Samuel Fosso, from Dayanita Singh, Eric Yamfi, Sora Opoku, Ming Smith, and Tourmaline. We are also very excited to share a conversation between James Barnor and Tyler Mitchell for the very first time. It's their first encounter, and there are many more surprises. We will also hear from UK-based archive Black in the Day, who, like James Barnor, are celebrating family, life, and community through the sharing and archiving of photos. We are also so excited that Jürgen Teller, as part of the Serpentine's collaboration with Circa, will revisit one of James's most iconic images at Piccadilly Circus to create a specially commissioned portrait of the artist at the very same location James originally took the picture. James Barnor's photographs resonate because of his emphasis on community, on history, on fashion, and life. I will always remember visiting the exhibition, The Synthetic Moment, curated by David Hart in New York City, and being so inspired by James's work. James took photos to capture beautiful moments and to help others. If nobody had taken the photos, entire parts of history would have been lost. It is incredible to see James's spirit of generosity, sharing, and community building come to life in the words and works of the amazing artists that have enthusiastically accepted our invitation to participate tonight and be part of the celebration. When we visited James for the first time in his studio, he told us that he has a favorite proverb which goes as follows: "A civilization flourishes when people plant trees under which they themselves will never sit." Thank you so much, James. And I also want to thank here our Serpentine Dream Team that has put tonight's program together. Many thanks to Kostas Stasinopoulos, Assistant Curator, Live Programs, to Bianca Manu, Curatorial Associate, to Holly Shuttleworth, Producer, and Duncan Welsh, Head of Events. And we, of course, want to thank again our incredible hosts. So back to you, Clara.
Thank you to everyone for those wonderful introductions to the rich context of James's programme at Serpentine and the many ways in which it is reaching outwards. Now, our first section of tonight's programme gives me great joy to share with you a really special moment between James Barnor and Liz Johnson Arthur, and a text written and read by Sir David, as well as a poem by Nee Aikwe Parks. So Liz visited James to interview him and to document his process and his practice. And tonight we open the evening by sharing with you her special film from her visit. So David Adjay's words have been written for the exhibition catalogue and forming form, which will give us shape to this incredible evening. And finally, we have Nee Aikwe Parks, Ghana by Air, as we lift off into the incredible world of James Barnor.
Photography was in my family. So right from the time that I became a little boy, my uncle was taking photographs in the house and even traveling as well. So, photography, I had, I think, 2 or 3 or 4 people in my family who were doing photography. Somebody taught my uncle, and one of my uncles taught my cousin, who taught me. And there was another photographer, another cousin. I don't know who taught him, but I would say self-taught. And he more or less got me into what I call newspaper or journalistic photography. I think we were in America and we did several stories about it would be nice if I remembered her name, but she was so popular. These are some of my copies. You can see that picture copied here, and that copy there is a picture of a genius, a Ghanaian legend. When I left Ghana and came here, all the negatives that I left have been thrown away. 10 years work. I don't know how perhaps I carried this with me, or these were not with, these, some of these are reproductions, but actual negatives, these are all copies, these are all reproduction, using the plate to take a picture of another picture. When at that time there was no scanning, when like 70 something, these are all frames. But this is the man
Hold on, I get it.
who gave me my first £10 or £10 to order my first camera. And that's his grandson.
Okay.
So I have set him up in photography. This is my mother and me, and before I left in 59 to come here.
That's when you took the picture?
Yes, so this was taken 59. But maybe that one I didn't want to leave it, and so I brought it with me. And this is another.
Who is this?
One of the servers. He was a server at the time, but an elder person. I remember even when I was finishing school, I used to go to him to do private lessons. That's the outside shots. That's it. I couldn't get my eyes off her. I would have, she's so charming. And everything about her to me was perfect. But, you go to these places, there are many girls, you photograph, and then you leave.
Do you find yourself, you fall in love with your subject for those seconds?
Oh, a lot. Sometimes if you don't fall in love, you can't get enough. Even if it's by, again, even if it's remote, you feel something and either transfer it in such a way, and then you can get something back to photograph.
There's a particular sensation, something timeless, something critical, that fills the body upon reviewing the archive of James Barnor. It's a type of responsibility to the images that create a representation of an extraordinary transition from colonial to post-colonial, as well as an interpretation of what it means to be part of the diaspora. What it means to exist elsewhere, to be understood, and what it means to redirect the Western gaze as a tool of empowerment and representation. From the images that portray Ghana's social revolution towards freedom, from colonial rule to the Black experience of the swinging 60s in post-war Britain, it is clear that this journey of spectatorship reveals a real becoming of history untold.
Ghana by air. Let the dry savannah winds grab you by the hair and drag you stumbling through tough clumps of cow-nibbled grass. Did you see the children streak by on bikes, 2 or sometimes 3 on the same? Did you see the striking garments, energized by night dances? Now the green of the forest will sweep you across the secret passages of Ashanti pride into the rich red depths of palm nut soup. Did you see a woman drag her husband home by the cuff, insulting him all the way? Did you hear the market traders hurling prices down the street? The lights of Accra will confound you as you circle dreamily round haphazard houses arranged to fit sprouting family trees. Did you hear the blaring horns, sometimes angry, sometimes friendly? Did you see 2 lovers heading for Labadi Beach? Follow them. Lift the hem of the sea. Plunge. You have reached the center of the world.
Such powerful words by both David Adjaye and Ni Aikwe Parks, a testament to the many ways James's work inspires and warms other forms of expression like poetry and architecture, and a reminder that these realms are always beautifully entangled. And of course, that's what we're feeling tonight, is this sense of community and of friendship that James is able to conjure amongst artists and everyone he encounters, felt in the beautiful film by Liz Johnson-Arthur, and a privilege for us all to have been able to step into that moment that they shared together. Up next, it is such an honour to hear from Editor-in-Chief of British Vogue, the wonderful Edward Enninful, who will share with us his thoughts and reflections on James's powerful work.
Hi, James. I'm Edward Enninful, Editor-in-Chief of British Vogue, and I just wanted to let you know how much you've inspired me as a fellow Ghanaian, as a person in the arts. Growing up, there weren't, I didn't really have any role models from Ghana. I didn't know, what even photography was. I didn't know what fashion was, but then through your work with drum, I started to sort of understand what Black style meant, what essentially African style also meant. You just made people look so regal and proud. You made being African so cool. And we're talking about the 60s. The 60s, when there were civil rights movements going on, and you just showed a beautiful part of Black people. And I think your work resonates today. When I see sort of Black actresses, models on covers, essentially, I think you were one of the few people that showed possibility. You showed me that, yes, you can have women of color on, magazine covers and they will sell. I love that, in the 50s, you were there when Ghana was going for independence, and you documented, a whole generation. And I'm just really, really glad to be able to sit here, today, repeat, an African man of color, celebrating you. And those images that you created in the 60s, all those proud, beautiful, wonderful fashion images live on. Some of my favorite covers you've done have been the covers of Drum and Flamingo. I especially love a cover you did, and it's a woman. She's wearing essentially like Ghanaian costume, I think, sort of with big sleeves, but she's staring at you, like almost like staring directly into your soul, and that's what I love about your work. She's holding your gaze. It's almost as if to say, "I dare you not to pick up this magazine," and I kind of like that attitude. I also love your sort of cover for Drum was a tribute to England. There's a beautiful woman, and she's sort of peeking out from behind a tree and in front of an English postbox. That picture speaks 1,000 messages to me, because I'm thinking of, all these incredible Africans who lived in England then, who maybe weren't sort of being treated in the best way, but so proud to be here, so proud in front of the postbox, so proud, carrying this weight, this pride that Africans have. So that picture, just the tree, the woman, the postbox, that summed up England for me. And then, of course, I love the cover. It's quite a flirty cover, it's a beautiful model, and she's sort of staring at the camera over the shoulder. She's wearing paisley. Her hair is in, sort of the typical 1960s kind of bob. And that picture, I remember when I first saw it, I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. And these pictures stay with me. Even today, when I create images, I always go back to these women of from the 50s or the 60s that essentially you helped introduce to the world. So that's my eternal reference. Of course, I love the Flamingo cover dedicated to Ghana. I mean, this woman always reminded me of my mom, with a little sort of short wig, beautiful scarf, and that beautiful smile that Ghanaians have, and that cute round face. So, I mean, not only did you capture a time, but you also captured a people. You captured a people away from their homes, but, making their way in the new world. And that's true of me too, and my family. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Edward. Up next, we welcome back Ulrich Obrist, Artistic Director of Serpentine, who will tell us a little bit more about the amazing new contributions by photographers specially made for this evening.
Thank you so much, Clara. For tonight's event, we've invited several artists to create instructions which give us possibilities to create portraits for the future. These instructions are inspired by the project Do It being an ever-expanding set of instructions by leading artists, simple enough for anyone to do. So these artists tell us expected and unexpected things we all can do with our camera. I first started the Do It project in 1993 with Bertrand Lavier and Christian Boltanski in Paris. From this initial encounter arose the idea of an exhibition of DIY descriptions and instructions for art, and this resulted in many exhibitions. The idea came also from the late philosopher and poet Edouard Glissant, who observed that the places in which exhibitions are traditionally presented are invisible to large sections of society, and who encouraged us to think about other forms of engagement and new models of exhibition that are mobile and can go to the people. So Do It can happen anywhere. Tonight, we have invited artists and photographers to share with James and all of you their instructions on how to create powerful images for the future. In the same way James has kept an extensive archive of his photographs, our Do It contributions tonight will create a new archive that traces different artists and their perspectives, providing a window into their own practice. Our first contributors this evening are Tyler Mitchell, Tourmaline, and Ming Smith. Thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you so much, Tourmaline. Thank you so much, Ming.
Instructions on making a photograph. Step 1, consider everything an experiment. Don't try and create and analyze at the same time. They're different processes. Lean on your intuition and be aware of your ego. Step 1, the analysis. Pour a cup of green tea or orange wine. Sit in your favorite place in your house. I'm in my studio, but my favorite place right now is my sofa. Close your eyes. Imagine what freedom looks like. And once you've done that, get a pen and paper. Draw a square or rectangle, it doesn't matter the size. And fill it with what you imagined. I'm gonna fill it with a tree because I'm thinking of spring. Step 2, create. Do everything in your power to make everything that you drew in frame, like my bad tree, come to life through the lens of a camera. Reflect and repeat.
tips for shooting a good photo. Of someone, something, or someplace. 1. Decide. Decide what light and time of day you like, sunrise or sunset. 2. Pick a spot to where you'd like to shoot. 3. Go to the spot. 4. Say a little prayer. 5. Open your eyes and really look, meaning be here now, in the moment, your heart beating. 6. Look, see, and thank God. 7. Shoot and listen to the voice within. That is your timing. That is the Zen way of shooting. And your heart beating life.
Those were truly beautiful, and I for one know that I've got plenty to think about before I take my next photograph. Now, as we know, a large part of James's practice has been to inspire a range of younger photographers as they move into the 21st century. And for Portraits for Future, are so excited to present to you the first conversation, and hopefully part of many more to come, between James Barnor and Tyler Mitchell, moderated by Hans Ulrich Obrist. We'll be hearing their thoughts and their beginnings, insights on the historic drum magazine, and we'll also be finding out how one can truly capture freedom on film. So we hope that you sit back, relax, and settle into a wonderful conversation. So without further ado, please welcome James Barnor, Tyler Mitchell, and Hans Ulrich Obrist.
I'm so delighted to be in conversation tonight with James Barnor and Tyler Mitchell. James and Tyler, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
It was always a dream that we can organize an encounter between the two of you. And I thought we could begin with the beginning. And I wanted to ask you both to tell us how you actually came to photography, or how photography came to you.
I grew up in a house where there was photography already. So I see photography was in my family. My uncle, my sister's elder brother, was a photographer, and he took photographs of his people in the house with daylight. So I saw him. I didn't think I would be a photographer, you know, seeing him. I was a little boy going to school, but somehow, you know, I had to get into it. But it's a long story. Yes. But I haven't regretted. You know, I wish I was a farmer, but I wouldn't regret at all being a photographer.
Yeah, I would say for me personally, also, James, it's an honor to meet you over Zoom. I wish we could meet in London together in person for your show, which I am excited to hopefully see. But yeah, as someone I look up to, but I guess I got into photography as first a skateboarder growing up in Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, skating has a weird connection to photography and to image making, because there's a whole side of skateboarding that is focused on the filming of the sport itself. So I was first a skateboarder. I had a group of friends, and a friend of mine had a camera, a DSLR camera. And I remember becoming so obsessed with that camera and with filming my friends basically skateboarding around Atlanta. So I started as a skateboarder, I became a filmmaker, and then I found photography a little bit later. Once I'd moved to New York and was a film major in New York, I kind of became obsessed with both film and photography in school. So I met Deborah Willis, who Hans, you know, who is a mentor of mine and who encouraged me to take a course of hers in the photography department. And then the rest is, you know, it's an avalanche after that of taking pictures. So yeah.
Dana, when we met for the first time about 4 years ago, I remember we talked and you explained to me that you do these parallel realities, like James, that you do photo shoots for magazines. At the same time, you do your own photography, you do your own films. And I also remember that in this very first conversation, he told me that drum magazine covers of James were a great inspiration for you. So I thought maybe that's a nice transition that we can talk a little bit about.
The drum magazine covers inspiration on me is really that those were the first images that I felt I saw where there was a real dignified beauty in this and connection that you could feel between the photographer and the model, and also a sense of beauty that was both inherent to ideas around photographing Black women, but also that felt so specific because Drum was a African-based magazine. And so it was reinforcing for me to continue to photograph the young Black men and women around me that interested me, seeing like these rich, colorful photographs of Black women enjoying themselves in the streets of London, in Ghana, and so on and so forth. So it was a big it was a big inspiration, and it was also a big reminder to keep on making the work that I make, you know?
That is very important. That as soon as I get a model, I think of location, the dress, the interest of the person, you know, connect and think, you know, work very fast to think of where shall I take this person, you know. And I also like vantage points. You know, I like to show where I am or something. Say in London, you have the telephone box or the telephone booth, you have the post box, and you have all these things. That's anytime I get this, I like to take the model to the place and take the most suitable, you know, not just anywhere, but think of the model, either talk to her and see what she likes, and then just do the connection. And I love doing that. I love doing that.
I think seeing and feeling that connection was a huge reminder to keep that sense of play, I think, in my images, and to emphasize really the person that you're about to photograph, because it really is all about them, you know? And I just think I felt that when I saw those Drum magazine, you know, covers and those shoes. I also thought about the picture of the girl on the merry-go-round on the horse.
Oh yes, that was, yes.
Which is such an incredibly playful image and so timeless. Even like you're saying, you describe it as a small moment, but it's clear that these moments live on in people's lives because they bring such joy. And they also, you know, emphasize the importance of beauty and joy in photography, right?
I remember that very well. I met the girl, we went to her house, we talked, and we decided we were going to take pictures, but where? You know, and she wore a dress, we look at the dress, and what do we do? And it came to my mind, Battersea Park. And luckily, that time there was that swing, you know, that merry-go-round, and there wasn't anything better than the colors of the animals, you know, the merry-go-round, and the color she was wearing. We had to take pictures around there. There was candy fluff, you know, this thing. We had, and I made her sit on it. In fact, I think my Clementine, my manager in Paris, has got old copies of Drum, where she got them from, I don't know. She just showed them to me, all copies of drum with that one, because she hadn't seen it at all. She just seen photographs of it, but she actually had the copy, you know, and showed me she said she didn't know it was like that, you know, she imagined, but when she saw it, and I took the girl there and I took lots of pictures. You know?
It's amazing. And like, yeah, that I actually have been looking for that copy as well, because I want to see more of what's on the inside.
Because she borrowed them for the exhibition. So
amazing.
Yes. And I got excited, you know, when I saw the old copies, the actual copies like that. Yeah. And in fact, when I lived in Kent, and when I was doing those covers for drum, whenever I traveled to London for some purpose, and I saw the magazine side by side with international magazines, you know, I stand back and say, yes, you know, I really felt happy.
This was a wonderful exchange between the two of you. And I had a few more general questions. One was about optimism, because I felt that when I met you both 4 years ago, in both of your work, but also in the conversations, an incredible optimism. And I wanted to ask you to maybe talk about that.
Yeah, I didn't know that my experience or services would be so much needed, you know. But as I went along, I realized it. But from the beginning, I always didn't compare myself to anybody. I just wanted to try, you know, experiment and try myself, but compete. As soon as I overcome a problem or achieve something, I leave it behind and go forward again. You know, if this camera doesn't work and I manage to overcome it, you know, I get the next camera. I remember at one time I was visiting the assembly or parliament every day. And one day, a minister asked his assistant to give him, you know, give James my camera, give James my camera. And the camera was given to me. So I started using it. After 2 weeks or 3 weeks, when the camera has changed my production, when the camera has changed my quality of work, he came and said, where's the camera? Where's the camera? And I had to give him back. But I had to go to Sikh Hagma and buy another one the very day. So that's another means by which I progressed from one quality to another. You know, then I bought a camera that is better. My standard got better. I didn't come back again, and so on and so forth. I was always more or less going forward. I didn't compare myself. If I saw a job, a work, you know, and one thing at the time, photographers in Ghana didn't cooperate enough to learn from one another or to teach one another. You know, when they tell you their secrets, you will steal their customers or you will do this, you know. So everybody kept to himself. I didn't do that at all, you know, but anytime I saw something and I wanted to do the same, I tried without going to ask anybody. And then when I learn it or when I master it, I go. So to be an optimist also, it's been with me from my infancy. And I think I continue. That's why I add luck to it. I add luck to it. I'm lucky to meet people. I'm lucky that people are helping me and introducing me to things.
Yeah, I feel similarly. Like it feels like a super important quality to have as a photographer, but also as a person, you know, to have this excited energy about your own work, because our work is also gathering, you know, when we do these shoots, It's also gathering, sometimes it's gathering crews, sometimes gathering assistants, sometimes it's gathering models or people to get behind your idea. And so I think the first thing is that if you're not excited about it, people will feel that. But also, you know, Hans, you know, because we've photographed together before, there's an important dialogue between and energy between me and the people I photograph that is a part of what makes the final result. And so I think hopefully when someone sees my pictures, I want them to think or to acknowledge or to be somewhat, even if it's subconsciously aware of the connection between myself and my subjects or models or collaborators, you know, and that hopefully the person that I'm photographing, we're seeing them in a way that both parties on either side of the lens are extremely happy with. And yeah, that they feel proud of that presentation of themselves. So that's important to me in commission work, but also in just day-to-day life, you have to be excited about your ideas. So
that leads me to my very last question I wanted to ask you both. How can one photograph freedom?
That's a question. That's a question.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're satisfied with your work and you live freely without worrying, you are free and you are happy. You know,
Yeah.
You can take your work everywhere, and it's your photography, it's your profession. It's the means by which you gain that freedom that gives you that power to go anywhere, or that relaxation. You can do anything. When you're in a group, you know, you are free because you know you can provide something that nobody else, or you can provide that something that particularly that will satisfy a lot of people. You know, everybody says, but as an artist or as a photographer, you come out with something that somebody loves. Somebody loves it so much, he or she doesn't know how to hug you. You know, you get the photograph. You know, is that me? You know, oh, I've been looking for my grandfather's photograph, and you've got it. You know, and he gets it. He doesn't know what to do with you because he hasn't got a picture of his grandfather or grandmother, but you've got it, and you show it to him or give it to him. You see, so that freedom, that happiness to be able to provide this to somebody, it stays with you all the time. That's what makes me happy. You know, that's what, if I'm able to satisfy somebody, if I'm able to surprise somebody like that, you know, and I'm free, you know, at the moment I'm free. I'm free. I call myself Lucky Jim, but I'm also free because even at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I go to bed when I like. Nobody forces me to do anything. So freedom, I've got it. I didn't buy it, you know, but I get it through my photography, through my life, and through my association with people. And I always say, you know, it's better to give than to be given, or what? Civilization flourishes when men plant trees under which they will never sit. You know, when you give it today, you know, it will ripple and many people will get it. And even if you are not around, it's helping others. And that's the freedom that has given me freedom.
Yeah, I would say, well, I love that answer, but I guess I would say there's freedom in expansiveness, right? Of possibility. Like, I like that you're saying that we're both travelers. Like, there's freedom in the ability and expansiveness to travel and to create what you wish to create. And I think, how do you photograph freedom? I think there's a quote that I said that is following me, but and that has been repeated, which is that Black beauty is an act of justice. And I really do think that if we're thinking about Black beauty as the center as potentially the center of what I do, or what I hope to push into the fore, what I think is extremely important to have conversations about, I think continuing to photograph that in all of its vastness and variety, because it's so vast, right? We have to remind each other that that capturing that, right, or that photographing that, for me is freedom for me personally, and I hope that also stands as a photograph of freedom for other people. So I think there's freedom in expansiveness, there's freedom in leading by example with your spirit and with your kind of being, and there's also freedom in Black beauty. So yeah.
It could not be a more wonderful conclusion. James and Tyler, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Hope to see you soon.
What an amazing conversation to be able to experience. And I've got no doubt that it will continue to inspire and reach photographers all over the world. Now, James's influence has driven new ideas and thoughts for photography and beyond, but importantly, he's inspired new ways of working and friendship with each endeavour he takes on. Up next, Curatorial Associate Bianca Manu will welcome back Ni Aikwe Parks, and we hear from Serpentine's Chief Curator Lizzie Carey-Thomas and Assistant Curator Awa Konate will be sharing their messages for James. Then artists Eric Jemfi, Zora Apoku and Samuel Fosu, as well as Dianita Singh, will share their duets.
Bonjour, Lucky Jim. I'm saying hi to you from your personal landmark on the bridge in Paris. From the first time I lost you here to finding you again across London and Accra, it was such a privilege to curate your first ever retrospective in Africa at Nabuke Foundation in 2019. I'm really proud and excited for what the Serpentine are going to do this summer. There's no better way to think about your work than to see it, but there's also a magic to it that can be expressed through words, which is why it made sense to get writer and author Ni Aikwe Parks to contribute. Sending him some images as stimulus, he's shared with us some poetry to help you reminisce.
We'll also hear from Black in the Day to reminisce through their archive, an incredible project growing out of London in the UK. My name is Tanya Wachku, and I am one of the co-founders of Black in the Day.
My name is Jojo Sinubi, and I am one of the co-founders of Black in the Day.
Black in the Day is a submission-based archive documenting the lives and experiences of Black people in the UK over the decades. You know, Jojo and I were talking about our family photo albums and how many memories lived there, and if anything happened to the physical images, the physical photos, that would be like a really important part of our own personal history and also wider British history lost. So we really wanted to play a part in preserving and digitizing these really personal images of Black people in the UK.
Sometimes it's photographers within the community, or sometimes it's like, you know, voyeuristic photographers, you know. But like when you're using people's family photos, it's like, yo, this is straight from the source, you know. The work that we do is important because, you know, we have to be able to like pinpoint and visually map out the experiences of Black people in the UK, in Britain. Especially the times before us, our generation now, my generation right now is, you know, I'm a 90s baby, but then obviously the people that are born into, like, they're born into technology, you know what I mean? They're born into, like, the whole smartphone era.
The images we have in our archive are really intimate, personal insights into Black people's day-to-day lives. And that's something that we really just wanted to see more of. You
know, it's important for them to see what happened, what came before them, how life was before them, how people dressed before them. So it's important that we do this because they will have a reference point of to see just like a small bit of context to show why they're here or how they got here. Do you know what I'm saying?
So we wanted to celebrate the bits, the moments that we don't get to see in history books, that we don't get to see on TV as often. And that's why we do what we do. We create portraits for the future. Oh man, just by encouraging people to keep taking photos, to keep taking videos. We've done a few events where we actually do portraits that we keep for us, because what we take now is going to be history. And I think it's really important to emphasize the importance of documenting.
And the portraits we take are the portraits of people dancing, enjoying themselves, you know, looking good. You know, you could call them just normal photographs, but really and truly, when people come into these spaces, you know, the club is the backdrop, you know, and us capturing these images of them, it's like, it is, for me, perceivably portraiture in its own right, because we're capturing people's essence, their beauty, their elation, their joy, you know, their friendships in these images. And yeah, man, that's how I'm that's how I'm doing it for the future, because, you know, in a couple years time, 10 years time, and we're gonna look back on these pictures and be like, yo, that's how we was dressing, you know, 2018, 19, and how much has changed, or how much has developed, how much has grown. And just have to keep that chain of information flowing.
The furnace. When you spend your childhood bathing with cold water, you learn, quick as lime, that soap is warm enough to hold back the chill of night caught in bound oxygen. That although moving fast will help, it's better to stay even. Let your body heat find equilibrium. That the earth takes the full brunt of the sun's burning, so it can guerrilla through the veins of the water system to infuse your post-football shower with unexpected joy. That your father carries the fires of all his disappointments under the coal of his skin. That your mother's embrace is a furnace.
Hello, I'm Lizzie Carey-Thomas, Chief Curator at the Serpentine, and I'm curating the James Barnor exhibition alongside our Kanate. It's been such an incredible honour to get to know you, James, over the last year or so in researching the show. And while we've been thwarted at least twice with our opening due to the pandemic, this has actually given us invaluable time to continue to comb through your amazingly extensive archive and hear more about your life stories. First in your flat through our regular visits, then in the garden, and then online. Whether you're in the role of portrait photographer, photojournalist, a friend or family member, your pin-sharp memories of the circumstances around the making of each image never cease to impress. The circumstances of the encounters, the personalities involved, the lighting conditions on the day, or the technical challenges you experienced. Yet even without your incredible commentary, the images are like a form of time travel. It doesn't matter if you took a shot 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. The vitality and sheer life of each sitter shines through, as if they were in the room with you here and now. And while lockdown has necessarily curtailed your physical movements, you've continued to explore the world through the internet and share what you've found so generously. Keep moving, and I'm hoping to continue traveling with you for many months beyond the exhibition.
Thank you so much for that, Lizzie. Just to reiterate on what Lizzie said, my name is Awa Kunate. I am the assistant curator on the exhibition project, and I'm also the founder of an interdisciplinary research platform called Cultural Society, abbreviated CAS. It's been an absolute pleasure to work on this exhibition project, working alongside James Barnor, Lizzie, and other team members of the Serpentine, familiarizing myself with James's archive beyond my already existing familiarity and realizing just how richly nuanced it actually is. I'm so excited to share that beyond the exhibition project, that's taking place at Serpentine Galleries. It's also going to be a very exciting public program / site-specific collaboration, which is a takeover of the Piccadilly Circus screens in collaboration with Circa Art throughout the entire month of April for around 30 days. At 8:21 p.m. of every evening, the Piccadilly Circus screens will turn into a site-specific public art program. They'll be cut up in 3 different strands of the project, of which I am for the first time revealing that CAS, so Cultural Art Society, will be curating the final 10 days of it, which will be a selection of the works of 5 young African photographers. So Nadarajah, who's a Black British photographer, Lebohang Kane, who's a South African photographer, Thabiso Sekala, who's also South African, Silvia Rossi, who's Italian African, and David Nana Pukuanso, who's a Ghana Accra-based photographer. It will follow into a richly nuanced conversation about placing the works of these young photographers in conversation with James Barnor's archive, and also in reflection of their long-standing trajectories that are inspired by James Barnor's work, but also seems to continue the strand and history of what James's archive is and what James's archive also represents. And besides, of course, the archive of James Barnor will also be a centering and a framing a conversation around the rich nuances and the rich histories of how photography is employed throughout African communities, whether it's on the continent or it's in the diaspora, to reflect upon the making of histories, but also these beautiful intimacies between photography and people, and how that's so central to the making of Blackness across the world widely. And it will also follow into the strand of Cultural Art Society's existing work about thinking and reflection of the contemporary importance really of archives. So I'm so delighted to be part of this program in its entirety, which is both a refamiliarity of James Barnor to widely a larger audience, but also a way of trying to think about the conversations around James Barnor and photography and many other things that are emerging out of that. I hope you enjoy your evening, and yeah, we really look forward to seeing you both at the gallery at Serpentine, but also at Piccadilly Circus, and engaging with everything that we've planned for you.
There was never a need to start anew. The foundations were there. A rich generation of photographers to learn from and be inspired by. James Barnor has been one of such foundational blocks, with his incredibly innovative spirit and a beautiful relationship to a wide range of subject matters, and in some instances even experimentations with the medium itself. These days I am most interested in the duration that his practice occupies and what that does at a glance. When one considers that his collection is made over 6 decades, one begins to notice how time unfolds in specific places, in people, politically, or even in color and in film stock. The spirit of the medium has been hinged so much on fixing time, making things almost permanent. But James Barnor here gives us an opportunity with his collection to have these memories on one hand, but to also escape this limitation of the single photograph on the other. We receive the gift of change and its many fucking possibilities. And there is Neo Bodai Provençal, whose work has been steeped in analog experimentations and tests on the one hand, and a passion for educating a new generation of photographers through Nuku Studio. There was also Emmanuel Bobe, known popularly as Bob Pixel, rest his soul, who inspired such a massive generation of photographers on a scale that I am yet to see again. And then myself and numerous other practicing photographers today, who are all an offshoot of this trajectory of great photographers, and many, many more, whose works and lives continue to shape ours in different forms along different paths.
Bonjour, mon nom est Samuel Fosso. Voici mon do it pour le portrait for the future. Mes frères artistes, photographes et qui ont envie de faire le portrait, je vous conseille d'abord d'installer votre décor que vous avez inspiré de faire. Ensuite, installez votre sujet devant votre décoration. À partir de là, il faut vérifier votre lumière. L'éclairage est très important pour le portrait. On dit souvent, la photographie, c'est la lumière. Et la lumière, c'est la photographie. James Barnor avait l'opportunité d'aller faire le reportage ailleurs et qu'il a eu chance aussi à son temps d'avoir Mohamed Ali et le filmer au Ghana. Et moi, j'ai profité par rapport à l'histoire des Noirs américains. J'ai incarné Mohamed Ali, qui m'inspirait aussi. Et moi, je le fais au studio, en faisant autoportrait, et en même temps de faire portrait des autres. Et la différence, c'est moi, à James faisait studio et reportage aussi. J'adore aussi ce qu'il fait, comme tous les photographes africains. C'est la même chose qu'on faisait en même temps. Aujourd'hui, je continue à faire la photographie, autoportrait toujours. Merci.
Make a date to visit your mother. Ask a photographer to accompany you. When you go to her, greet her with your customary hug. Then slowly let your head slide into her lap. Lie there, still, till you start to hear her heartbeat. However long it takes, just wait for it. You will start to hear it. And when you hear it, look up at the photographer so that they know to take your photo at that time. So that photograph will be a reminder to you of hearing the sound that first welcomed you into the world 50, 60 years ago.
Jamestown. Here, the men have fists more fluent than language. 2 world boxing champions ate fish here. Here, the women cast insults as powerful as coastal waves, scale fish quicker than thieves scale walls. This is Jamestown, home of strong tides. Here, the boys learn the rhythm of crabs, grow skin thicker than the armor of shrimps. Here, the girls walk the rolling of waves, develop the skill of walking through men. This is Ngneshi, harbor of water. Here, the colonial castle crumbles into the sea like a salted blemish, slowly fading away. This is Jamestown. Washe no Kogbe. We always walk free.
Eric Gentry there, exploring process, plants and people as part of his photographic practice and reminding us of the work, thinking and ecological system that goes into creating just one single image. Die Need to Sing has given us the beautiful notion that we can create images that bring us closer to heartbeats, bring us closer together with the people that we love, and the images have the power to emanate love. Samuel Fosu reminds us that photography is light and light is photography. A photograph is taken when light comes to life through processes in the dark. And it reminds us more than ever of the importance of the creative process and of the creative cycle that has led us to this very moment. Together, we are learning new ways to make portraits for the future. So do join tonight's conversation on social media using the hashtag Portraits for the Future. I'm so very grateful to have joined you all on this evening, and we look forward to seeing the ways that tonight's event will continue to inspire. We have a very special music guest now from Accra in Ghana, and I'm so excited to introduce Ebo Taylor and the Salt Pond City Band for an incredible finale to this evening. Tonight truly has been so important to share with you the ongoing work for Barnor's exhibition at Serpentine this summer. So please, please, please do support the Kickstarter campaign if you can. We look forward to seeing you all there, and thank you so very much for joining us. And without further ado, a final message on how to get involved with supporting the programme at Serpentine. And to play us out, it's Ebo Taylor and the Salt Pond City Band. Good evening.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play for you Love and Dead.
Brothers and sisters, let me listen to my story of love and death. I felt deep in love if I were one.
you very much. Thank you very much.